Morning, everyone. So I thought today I'd go over my plan to heat my house for free this winter. So if you guys will stick with me, I'll show you what I got going on. All right, so what we have here is a Hardy Manufacturing H2 outdoor wood boiler. This is a used unit. They no longer make these, but they're still very good outdoor wood stoves. The construction on these things is all stainless steel, which makes them very durable and last for a very long time. They're also very simple. There's only a few mechanical parts on them, and they'll burn pretty much anything you can fit through the front door. So these are a very attractive option when you're looking for a used outdoor wood boiler. As I mentioned, Hardy Wood Manufacturing is no longer in business. It seems like as soon as outdoor wood boilers had to meet EPA standards, Hardy decided they were no longer going to manufacture wood stoves. The newer units are much more efficient, but they also cost a lot more money. We were looking at a central boiler for our house, and the price on that thing was roughly $12,000, and that didn't include installation. I would have had to have done the installation myself or pay more to have it done. Now, I did do the installation on this myself, but the pipes were already in the ground and the radiator was already in the furnace. So all I really had to do is pour concrete pad and plumb my new unit in. It was one of the most challenging things I've done in a long time, but that was mostly because of unknown parts needed and the availability of certain parts. All that's behind us now. The wood stove is operating and heating my house 100% right now. So let's talk about why I chose this route to heat our house. Well, our property is about a half mile off the road in a rural setting. We live out in the sticks, so natural gas isn't even an option out here. Electric heat is not very efficient, and it's very expensive in the wintertime. Our last property was electric heat, and it's very expensive. So the only option we have here is propane or wood. Now, last year I spent roughly $3,000 to heat our house during the winter. That's a lot of money. This unit cost me $3,500 used, and I might have another $500 in installation. So figure $4,000. We'll be conservative. So within a year and a half, I will have paid for this unit. And after that, my heating source is free. Now, there's going to be maintenance, obviously, to upkeep on this machine. But like I said, there's very few mechanical parts, and you could probably buy all of those parts for less than $500. So it's a very inexpensive way to heat your house. And you could argue that you're going to have maintenance on any heat source. So the mere fact that we're heating our house without paying a monthly payment for that propane is good enough for me. Now, I'm fortunate I do have a property here with plenty of woods, and there's no chance I'm going to run out of firewood anytime soon. But even if I did have to buy firewood, I did some research. Most folks say these units burn between 6 to 8 cords a year. So if we had to buy 8 cords of firewood, here in Ohio, for whatever reason, firewood's very affordable, which is good and bad. It's bad if you want to sell it. It's good if you need to buy it. So firewood in Ohio, you could be bought for roughly $200 a cord. So if I had to buy 8 cords of firewood, that's $1,600. It's still cheaper than buying propane. Now, I'm in no danger of having to buy any firewood. Also, there are plenty of sawmills around here in my area that sell slab wood much cheaper. And with a unit like this, it is no issue at all to burn slab wood. It can burn anything. It doesn't care what the wood is. As long as it fits in the door, it will burn it. So very efficient, very inexpensive way to heat your home. So that really just brings us down to the last argument that could be made is firewood is a lot of work. And I agree, firewood is a lot of work. However, I enjoy doing firewood. I love cutting and splitting firewood. I love chainsaws. I have a lot of equipment here to play with firewood. I enjoy it. So it's more of a hobby than it is work to me. Also, when you own a property like this that's mostly wooded, trees die all the time and they fall down and they just lay on the forest floor to rot, unless someone like me comes along and cleans that up. Now, I'm not one to let resources just die and rot on the forest floor, so I'm going to clean the firewood up anyway. It helps keep the property looking nice, and it helps keep the forest thriving. So the wood's already here, and I'm already going to clean it up. I might as well utilize it. The work factor to me really isn't a work factor when I enjoy it. Now maybe someday I decide I don't enjoy cutting firewood anymore. That'd probably be about the time to sell this property and move into a condo. So let's just take a quick look around this thing. I'll kind of show you how it operates and how simple it is. As you can see, it's just sitting on a concrete pad. We poured that, I guess it was my neighbor helped me. We poured that in about 30 minutes. I was surprised how quickly it was to mix up 12 bags of concrete and pour them once the form was already made. So it just sits here on a concrete pad. I took the time to level this whole area off and give me a nice work area in front. Right now, this is just a crusher run on the ground. I used to build it up and packed it in real good. I'll eventually take some 57s and pour around here just for a nice place to walk. Around the back here, there's not much to see. You can see our pipe in the ground that brings the pipes from the house for your hot in return. Simple bury in ground electric line, and then there's an access panel. We'll take that off here in a second, and I'll show you what's going on behind there. In the back here, things are pretty simple. At the top here, we have a Honeywell Aquastat that sends signal to turn our blower motor on down below here. This blower motor, whenever the temperature drops to a certain temp, the blower motor will kick on. That kicks up the fire inside and helps heat up the water to 170 degrees. Over here we have a water pump. The way I have this wired is the water pump runs 24/7. There are several different ways that you could hook one of these up. I chose this way so that I could run one thermostat in my house. I'm using my original thermostat that runs my propane. I just have it switched from propane to wood boiler, and I'll kind of talk how I did that, but it's pretty simple. This just runs all the time. It sends water into the house, and the cold water comes back out and gets put into the 100-gallon water tank on the stove to get reheated. And then the cycle just continues. When the water drops below a certain temperature, the Honeywell kicks on. That kicks on the blower, heats things up, and it just does its thing all by itself. This unit's also capable of heating domestic hot water. I don't have it hooked up for that at the moment. I might do that next year, but for this year, I just wanted to get our main heating source taken care of. As you saw earlier, it's pretty simple. The lower door there is for your ash clean out, and the upper door is where you load the stove. Now my plan is to load out of these IBC totes for two reasons. One, for how easy it is, and two, this is going to help me keep track of how much wood I burn this year. Each one of these IBC totes is a 1/3 quart of wood, so I'll keep track of how many IBC totes I burn, and that way I know roughly how many cords of wood I'm going to burn. This year is starting off to be a pretty mild fall. The temperatures aren't real low yet, so who knows what it's going to do. Eventually I'll move these over so it's closer here, so I can just twist and drop my firewood into the box. I don't quite have this set up how I want it. Now right underground here runs a 4-inch corrugated pipe, and you could probably see where it enters the building right there. In that 4-inch corrugated pipe are two 1-inch, basically PEX tubing that's surrounded in foam insulation. So the pipes going into the house are buried underground and they're insulated. We'll go in the house real quick and I'll show you where those pipes go and kind of explain how the water heats the house. Coming through the wall here, you can see the two pipes coming up. Those are the pipes that are in the ground. So they run up the wall here, and you have to excuse all this mess. They then run into these two pipes, and behind this plenum here is a heat exchanger. It looks like a radiator in a car, but basically the water goes in there, circulates through all the tubes in the heat exchanger, and then comes back out cold. Well, it's not really that cold, but you get the idea. So when the house calls for heat through the thermostat, I have it wired so that all it does is kick on the blower motor, and it blows the air across this radiator into the plenums and then distributes it throughout the house. It's actually a really efficient way to heat a forced air home. Obviously there's no fuel cost involved, and it distributes the whole house with warm air, so you have a nice even heat throughout. Now I do realize that this isn't 100% free, and the title of this video might be misleading to some, but I have to find a way for you guys to watch the videos, so creative title is really the only way. Now with that being said, there's still going to be some cost involved in processing firewood and running the pumps and blowers, obviously electricity, gas for the chainsaws, and then wear and tear on the chainsaws. I hope to offset the cost of all that by selling bundle firewood. Now I know I said firewood's cheap in Ohio, and it is when you sell it in bulk, but if you sell it in bundles, it's much more expensive. I believe most bundle firewood is between $5 and $7 for a small bundle. So if you did the math on how many small bundles are in a cord of wood, you're more closer to the $400 or $500 mark on a cord of wood. I live in a very good location for a firewood bundle roadside stand. So once I get things up and running, I get a little bit more situated here, I'm going to start selling firewood bundles. And that'll help offset some of my expenses with running an outdoor wood burner. So it really boils down to, it's cheap. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you'll consider clicking on that subscribe button. I haven't asked for that in a while. I kind of got away from it. I don't think you guys need to be told to subscribe. If you like the content, you're going to subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Again, I don't really like asking for that, but it does help the channel. And then it's a simple thing to forget, so maybe a little reminder at the end of the video is not a bad idea. What's this? Oh, well, we're not going to get into that today, but if you guys will stick around, there's going to be a lot more about that soon.